Good afternoon, guys. It is a beautiful sunny day today in Mountain View. Today, this video, well, this will be the first video, as you saw by the title, I'm sure, and this is going to be the shed build, not the shop build. So, as I have spoken about a couple times in previous videos, I have this shipping container here, which is right here behind me, and that is a rental. I don't own that, and I'm basically paying $200 a month for that. So that seems like a lot, but my storage unit that I had before was $220 a month, and I only had access to it during business hours. So the container was, I think it's like $195 or something like that actually, and it's here at my house. So it just made sense to do that, but it is also an expense that I need to get rid of so that I can use that money for all the other stuff I got to do. So this is going to be part one of the shed build, and what this one is going to be focusing on, I guess, is preparations to lay a slab and the work that I have to do to get ready for that. So I bought a concrete mixer. It just seemed logical because I have a lot of concrete related projects coming up. Sidewalks, I have the retaining wall over here that I still have to reinforce and put concrete in. I have the shed slab, just a lot of stuff. So I figured it would make more sense to get a concrete mixer and use that so that everything is mixed properly rather than trying to do everything by hand in a bucket or a wheelbarrow. It's way more difficult that way. So I figured what better way to break in this concrete mixer than to use it for the shed slab. So that's what this video is going to be about. I just want to say thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to it. All right, so first off, as you notice, this has changed a little. I had this pop-up tent here and I had my motorcycle parked here previously with a tarp up and trying to keep it out of the weather, but it didn't really do any good. So my bike's over there. I washed it and cleaned it up today. I got some rust that I need to take care of on the pipes, but that's a whole nother story. So what's going to happen here is this shed is going to be 8 feet interior. So the slab is going to be basically 8 feet 9 inches wide, and then it's going to be 14 feet long, which is going to come out somewhere around in here. And the wall of the shed is going to become the wall of the carport. So I'm basically going to tie in, this post is going to get removed, that post is going to get removed. I'm going to have to brace the corner of the carport while I pour the slab, and then I'll come back in and I'll be building a wall here that this will rest on. So that will eventually become the inside wall, I guess, of the shed. Now, some other issues that I have are, if you look up here, these beams, which I don't want to shoot like right into the sun, but you have a pretty good idea. A lot of these beams are rotted. So, as well as the rain gutter is like barely hanging on there. So another thing that's going to happen is this rain gutter is going to get removed. These beams, I'm basically going to come out about 6 inches. I'm going to cut a 45 and then I'm going to cut straight up, and hopefully that will remove all of the rotten part. This support for the roof is going to get moved back so that it's on top of the beam. The edge of the roof I'm going to cut because it's a lot of rusted, as you can see up there, it's a lot of just, the ends are kind of all rusty. So I'm going to cut all that down. I'm going to put a fascia board on there. I think that's what it's called, I'm not sure. And then the rain gutter will get reattached. And then the shed roof, the rafters for the shed are basically going to come up and attach here. So it's going to be a shed style roof, which is basically just a slope. It's not going to have a peak. And then it's going to come down, to the 8 foot 9 inch mark. So that's the basic plan of what I'm going for. All this is going to have to get dug out, and then I'm going to have to build a brace for that, and then remove all this stuff and get all that done. So yeah. All right, I have basically just a little string line that I put up, a couple scrap pieces of posts. This is basically 9 feet out, and that's from the opposite side of that beam. And that's not exact, but this is just to give me a guide. So I'm going to start digging out this whole area, all this vegetation, to get out of here. All right. This area is pretty much cleared, and I'm not sure if it's showing up on the camera, but this side over here is a bit higher, but I kind of already knew that. So when I pour the slab, the form on this side is going to be 8 inches, and then the form on this side is going to be 4 inches. And then I'm going to fill gravel from over here. I have all kinds of material laying around, so I'm going to fill this up on this side and then leave kind of a foundation over here. So this wall, or this end of the form, is going to be a thick foundation. It'll step up in gravel so that it's level here, and then it'll be a 4-inch slab across the rest of everything. So I guess the next step is going to be going and getting the wood to build the forms, and then also to remove these posts and brace the roof. That's going to be tricky. All right, guys, so it's the next day. We made a trip to Home Depot, and I have my forms cut to shape, which you can see on the ground behind me here. And then I got the aggregate delivered, and then we also have concrete. So that's like 33 80-pound bags. That's more than, hopefully more than I should need, but I want to make sure that I had enough. And there's also going to be other projects that I'm going to be using concrete for. So that is where we are at right now. Here are the forms. I have 2 4x6 beams. So one of these beams will become the new corner post once the slab is poured. And the other beam I'm going to use, basically what's going to happen right now is going to be the tricky part. I'm going to remove this beam and pier, and remove this beam and pier, and then one beam is going to get moved over here to the grass, one beam is going to be over here, and then this 4x6 is going to go between them, and that's what's going to support the roof while the slab is being poured. So I guess we'll see how that's going to work out. So I have some stuff I need to disconnect. There's an outlet that comes down from here. I'll have to pull that out and start pulling all these cross beams out, and then start moving these out. So I am going to use my 3.5-ton jack and one of these posts to lift this up. Not much, just maybe 1/2 inch to 1 inch, because I don't want to raise the roof too high. Just enough that I can put the beam under there, set it back down, and then hopefully everything's secure. Okay, so I have everything disconnected here, the beams. I have this electrical box disconnected. All the nails are pulled out of there. Both sides. So now I'm at the point where I'm ready to lift this up. The scary part. All right, this is the post that I'm going to use to jack it up. And this will actually end up being the new corner post. So that's why I'm using this one to jack it up, because once I put the cross brace in, this will come back down. And then after the slab is poured, I can put this in place and then remove the cross bracing. So I put these little pieces on top. So basically that channel is going to go around here, and then that's where I'm going to lift. And then I also marked on here the height, 91 inches, so that I know when I'm putting this back in place that I put it back in the same spot. All right, well, that was way easier than I was expecting. So I only lifted it. I was trying to keep this post, as level as I can so that it's strong and square. So you can see the gap right there. It's about a half an inch or so. I may go just another half inch to an inch higher, but now what I need to do is to move these posts and piers around so that I can put this cross beam in, and it's going to go diagonally across here to support this corner. All right, so I'm gonna slowly let this down and then see how it settles. There shouldn't really be much play because it's attached along the whole side of the house, the other post, so it should just come straight down and sit there. Just a little bit. All right. Okay, that's pretty solid. I don't think that's going to go anywhere. Well, I am a little worried about this post. It's a lot more crooked than I wanted it to be. Okay, I'm going to brace this a little bit more and then we'll redo it again. All right, I think we're good now. I put some 45s on there, and then I also added some braces here on both sides. So the weight is completely off of this beam back here. Everything's solid. Doesn't look like anything's moving, so we'll see. Like I said, this shouldn't really shift much because it's all attached to the house, but with wind and whatnot, who knows? So that should be good for now. All right, so now that this is braced, the space is opened up so that I can start building my form. And basically the form will end up being, directly under here because this will eventually be a wall. So that's going to sit on this edge of the slab. And then it's going to be 8 feet 9 inches. And basically that measurement is 4.5 inches for each wall, which is the 3.5 inch stud, and then a 1/2 inch each side for paneling and drywall. So that's 9 inches total. And then I want the interior to be 8 feet across. And then the length is going to be 14 feet, which is pretty much where my dig out is. So I'm going to start getting this frame together and then level it out, and then I will start filling this with gravel to bring the side up. So the board on this side is an 8 inch it's a 2 by 8. This is a 2 by 4 on this side. So the slab on this side is going to be a bit thicker because I want it to be a step up from where the carport is. Because eventually down the road we will get this concrete poured in here as well. So when we do that, I want the concrete to come up to this slab that I'm doing today, and then you'll actually step up. And then on the shed, there will be a door right here in this area. So there's going to be a double door down here on the end going in, and then there will be a regular walk-through door right here. And then probably end up doing a window or something on this wall, or maybe a couple windows, I don't know. We'll see when we get that far. Also, I wanted to point out, the main reason for doing the brace this way is because I wanted this corner exposed so that once the slab is laid, I can put this post in place and it won't be obstructed. Then I'll be able to remove all this. And then the wall is going to get built, you know, added onto that, which will be, you know, go from the main cross beam all the way down to the slab. All right, so I have my forms screwed together, and I've dug a little bit out, and I made these little pendulums that basically come from the inside of the beam straight down. I just want to make sure that the slab extends past that, because this is where the edge of the wall is going to be. And then this one over here, this one's in about a 1/2 inch more, but the corners are square. So you can see my level is level here. And if I go over to the sides, level there. So right now my form is pretty much square and level. So now what I'm going to do is to start to fill in some gravel here. So this is a 2x8 on this side, 2x6 is on the end, 2x4 up there. So the 2x6 I did rip cut about 5 feet of it so that it will take up some of the space. There's a little bit of space down on the end there, but you know, as I fill the concrete, it's just going to go in there. So I need to bring up this side here so that it's within 4 inches of the top, so that the majority of the slab is going to be 4 inches. This end is going to end up having a little bit of a foundation piece here, maybe 8 to 10 inches, or it's going to be the full 8 inches. And then I'll build up the gravel from there. And then this side over here will have a little bit of a drop past where the board is. And then the majority of the middle is all going to be 4 inches. Right. So I think I'm just about ready to start mixing concrete. Everything is leveled. I brought a bunch of fill rock from over here, put it in here, built up this side. You can see I still have a pretty good little channel right there because I want that part to be kind of thick. And I just used my 2x4 going across the top to get approximately 4 inches all the way across. I'm not going to say that it's completely flat and level, but it's pretty close. I did use the tamper and you know, tamped it down quite a bit. But yeah, I think I'm ready to start doing concrete. It's I think just around noon right now, so if I can get this done in the next couple hours. It's not supposed to rain today, so hopefully the weather will cooperate. But we'll see. That I'm using is Quikrete 5000. This is not a fast setting concrete, not like the Quikrete, like the one that sets in 20 minutes or 30 minutes, something like that. If you're doing something like that, you definitely do not want that concrete. This concrete will set up probably within a couple of hours. It'll be starting to get hard. I think in about 10 to 12 hours is when you can walk on it. So that's what I'm going to be using, and then mixing it with my aggregate here. And this will be the first time I'm using my new cement mixer. So hopefully it works out. I have stakes, as you can see, that I added in over here. On this side, I just used a bunch of concrete blocks that I had because this is pretty hard packed gravel and rock, and just driving these stakes in was hard enough. All right, so I'm gonna roughly just follow the instructions that are on the back of here. Basically it's saying for one load, you use approximately 5 gallons of water and 4 80-pound bags. So I'm going to kind of start with that guideline, see where it goes. After I get my first batch, because this doesn't talk about adding any aggregate, this is just straight concrete mix. So it may end up being 3 bags of concrete and then the mix. So we'll see how it goes. But that's kind of what I'm going to start with. And then once I get the first one down, then I'll just do the same for all the remaining ones. And then this particular one, the mixer itself is like a wheelbarrow. So I can roll this right over to the edge and just dump it in, rather than transferring it to a wheelbarrow, then doing the wheelbarrow in there. And so I'll just be dumping in from this side and then spreading it across. And I'm just gonna keep going, I guess, until it gets filled up. I have my 2x4 there for screeding. And yeah, so let's see how this goes. That's about the consistency that I want. Somewhere between milkshake and oatmeal. Okay, so it's been about 2 hours, I think, and this is all the progress that we've made. So my wife is actually helping me. I think this is probably too big for me to be trying to do by myself, but it's kind of too late. We're already into it. So we're getting there. It's just taking a long time. It's slow. So just wanted to do an update of where we're at right now. Just about 2 hours or so. Whew. Man, I am beat. So my advice is, if you're ever doing a slab this big, do not do it yourself. And I think it probably would have been better if I would have gotten concrete delivered, because after I was adding up the prices, I paid $400 for cement. That's for 30 bags. Actually, it was a little more than that because I had 3 bags already, and they're like $13 a bag, something like that. And then I had to pay $150 to get the 2 tons of aggregate delivered. So that's like $550, $575, let's say, rounded up to 600 even. And to get like 2.5, 3 yards of concrete delivered probably would have been about 650 to 600 and maybe 700 tops. And what I mixed was not good. I kept adjusting my mix, trying to get the right consistency. My first couple of loads, I had too much concrete to the aggregate, and that made me freak out at first because I was like, oh, I'm not going to even have enough bags, because I'm going through the concrete too quick. And then I talked to my neighbor who has done cement, and I was using way too little aggregate. So I started doing one 80-pound bag and 25 shovels of aggregate. So that seemed a little thick with the aggregate mix. So then I cut it down to 20 shovelfuls for an 80-pound bag. And then I was mixing in the water until it was the right consistency. And then towards the end, I ended up actually going down to 15 shovelfuls of aggregate. And I think that was probably a better mix. But by the time I started doing it, I was already close to the end. So let me turn the camera around. I'll show you where I'm at. Okay. So as you can see, it's not very smooth. I did have enough, to fill. I still have, I think, 6 bags or so of concrete left. Yeah, I just couldn't get the mix right. So hopefully this will still firm up. And I think that this concrete was actually a more rapid setting concrete than, if you had concrete delivered, because this stuff over here, I mean, I can walk on it already. It's been like 4 hours, I think, since I poured the very first part. So, yeah. But it has been a pretty humbling experience. right, guys. Well, that is going to wrap up this video for sure. Big shout out to the guys that do concrete professionally, because it's no joke. I mean, just pushing that cement mixer back and forth, dumping the loads, all the aggregate, all the shoveling, it is a lot of work. So I am definitely not a cement guy yet. But then again, this was a lot bigger project than I wanted to start with originally. I wanted to start with some smaller projects, but I kind of need to get this shed going because I'm paying $200 a month for that container and I need to get rid of it. So I think part 2 will be how to fix a messed up slab. Because they do have some other products, which is like a concrete resurfacer. It's basically made for like weathered concrete that the aggregate gets exposed, and you put it on and there's no aggregate in it at all. It's just straight powder, and then it smooths everything out. So that's probably the route that I'm going to go to get this to look nice. And this is for temporary storage until the garage gets built. But once the garage is built, this will probably become like a studio or something for my wife. So eventually we may even end up putting like tile or something down to cover up the slab anyway. So who knows? But yeah, I just want to say thank you guys for watching and witnessing my screw ups. And hopefully this gives a little better perspective on anyone that's trying to tackle a job this size. This slab is 8 feet 9 inches by 14 feet. So it's a pretty good size. And I ended up going through 27 bags of concrete, 80-pound bags, and probably 3/4 to a little more of the aggregate that I had delivered. So, yeah. All right, guys, it's time to crack open a cold one and relax. I hope everyone's doing well. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Aloha.